Get the chance to say goodbye to you properly. It was the honor of my life to serve beside you, to be part of the FBI family, and I will miss it for the rest of my life. Thank you for standing watch. Thank you for doing so much good for this country. Do that good as long as ever you can. And Senators, I look forward to your questions.
Director, thank you for that testimony, both oral and the written testimony that you provided to the committee yesterday and made public to the American people. Chair would recognize himself first for 12 minutes, Vice Chair for 12 minutes based upon the agreement we have. Director, did the Special Counsel's Office review and or edit your written testimony?
No.
Do you have any doubt that Russia attempted to interfere in the 2016 elections?
None.
Do you have any doubt that the Russian government was behind the intrusions in the DNC and the DCCC systems and the subsequent leaks of that information?
No, no doubt.
Do you have any doubt that the Russian government was behind the cyber intrusion into state voter files?
No.
Do you have any doubt that officials of the Russian government were fully aware of these activities?
No doubt.
Are you confident that no votes cast in the 2016 presidential election were altered?
I'm confident. By the time when I left as director, I had seen no indication of that whatsoever.
Director Comey, did the president at any time ask you to stop the FBI investigation into Russian involvement in the 2016 U.S. elections?
Not to my understanding, no.
Did any individual working for this administration, including the Justice Department, ask you to stop the Russian investigation?
No.
Director, when the president requested that you, and I quote, let Flynn go, General Flynn had an unreported contact with the Russians, which is an offense. And if press accounts are right, there might have been discrepancies between facts and his FBI testimony. In your estimation, was General Flynn at that time in serious legal jeopardy? And in addition to that, do you sense that the president was trying to obstruct justice or just seek for a way for Mike Flynn to save face, given he had already been fired?
Well, General Flynn at that point in time was in legal jeopardy. There was an open FBI criminal investigation of his statements in connection with the Russian contacts and the contacts themselves. And so that was my assessment at the time. I don't think it's for me to say whether the conversation I had with the president was an effort to obstruct. I took it as a very disturbing thing, very concerning, but that's a conclusion I'm sure the special counsel will work towards to try and understand what the intention was there and whether that's an offense.
Director.
4 minutes ago, they said 2. Yeah. New York wasn't walking in.
Oh, Chad's here. Probably to celebrate the 15th victory of the Golden State Warriors.
We'll talk about that.
It's funny, nobody around here wants to talk about it. I didn't get one comment.
What are your questions?
Good morning, everyone. Here we are, 7 months since the election of Donald Trump as President of the United States. And as we look to our responsibilities to the American people, we can see that it's 7 months of failure. It's all about security. Our national security, whether that's national security globally, homeland security, personal security, our national security has been jeopardized by his attitude toward Putin. He's put Putin on a pedestal. He's questioned Article 5 of NATO. He has flirted with the idea of not enforcing or expanding any sanctions against Russia in terms of their aggressive military behavior in Europe. It is, in terms of our economic security, where are the jobs? The election was about jobs. He promised jobs. What has he done? He's been a jobs loser. He has one bill that he has sent over here, health care bill, takes over 20 million, 23, 24, 25, you take whatever estimate, 25 million, 23, let's take the low figure, million Americans will lose their health coverage because of his proposal. And it is a job loser. 1.8, estimated to be 1.8 million jobs lost. Donald Trump is a job loser. And third, in terms of the security of our democracy, here he has a foreign country interfering, an adversarial country interfering in our election. It is an absolute fact. The Russians hacked, probably altered, and leaked information into the elections, which had a disruptive impact on the election. The president doesn't seem to be even curious about that, In fact, the Republicans in Congress and he have stood in the way of an outside independent commission to review all of that. We have a special counsel who is highly respected, Mueller, and that will proceed within the Justice Department reporting to Trump appointees. But it's progress. We have the House and Senate Intelligence Committees making progress in their investigations, as we saw yesterday, on some of this, but that is within the Republican Congress, and we are limited by what the Republicans are willing to do. That's why we need inside justice, inside Congress. We need outside commission, so we can get the facts. Let's get the facts and get over this. Let's bring people together. That's our responsibility. We have a beautiful Constitution of the United States. We all take an oath to uphold it, to support and defend it. And yet what the president is doing is to undermine it. All of the blessings of liberty that are in there, more perfect union, domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, ensure justice, the list goes on, depend on a system of checks and balances that follows in the body of the Constitution. And he is undermining the system of checks and balances, of separation of power. And so we have to take stock here and say, this is so much bigger than politics, so much bigger than Democrats and Republicans, about how we protect the American people, how we grow our economies, good-paying jobs, increasing wages, and how we protect our democracy as a model to the world. And you're a very important part of that, because following the checks and balances in the Constitution are the amendments, the Bill of Rights, ensuring freedom of the press. Tries to undermine balance of powers within the government, undermine the freedom of the press outside the Congress. You are the guardians of the democracy. Your freedom of expression, whether we agree with you or not, nonetheless is to be respected. And that is a flagship issue of a democracy. Authoritarians want to suppress the press. And that's what we see here. So, again, we stand ready to work with the administration, with the Republicans on jobs bills, an infrastructure bill that would be really, truly an infrastructure bill, to work with them to address the improvements we can make in our tax code, whether it's about fairness, about transparency, about closing special interest loopholes, lower the corporate rate, whatever it is to create growth, to create good-paying jobs in our country as we reduce the deficit. We see none of that. With that, please take any questions you may have. Yes,
Leader Pelosi, the president tweeted this morning essentially accusing Director Comey of lying under oath yesterday. Do you think the president needs to go under oath to address this, either to Mueller or to one of the committees in Congress investigating this now?
take me all day to tell you what I think the president should be doing. You start, as I said on one of the shows this morning, with a good night's sleep. The president's fitness for office is something that is being called into question. It takes a certain curiosity to learn the facts, to base your comments on evidence and data and truth. It takes a certain discipline to be able to prioritize what is important as we try to bring the country together. And it takes some kind of stamina to keep your thoughts together. And I'm very worried about his fitness. But that's something he and the people in the White House have to make a judgment about. And I don't know if there's the courage or the conviction in the White House to say to the president, you shouldn't be tweeting something like that. It's beneath the dignity of the office you serve. So I don't know. I'm not one to say the president should come here to testify, if that's your question. Maybe it would come to that. He probably would like to come here. But he's all about a reality show, so this maybe fit right into his agenda. But for right now, I think that we have to exercise our oversight responsibilities in Congress. I think we should have an outside commission to examine this. And again, this isn't about relitigating the past election in terms of the outcome. It's about making sure it doesn't happen in the future. Again, that an adversarial country could have an impact on our election in our country and what that means to the rest of the world. And as they do that in other countries as well, it's to undermine democracy. And does the president even have a curiosity about what the impact of all this had on the election? So again, I ask the question, what do the Russians have on Donald Trump, politically, personally, or financially, that he just won't go to that place and instead enshrines them, dances to their tune, and the Republicans in Congress have been resistant to finding out the truth. So I think, there are other remedies that we can exhaust. I respect the opinion of those who think he should come, but I think if the Republicans in Congress would be more, shall we say, open to facts and the truth, we can learn a lot without the president coming here.
Would you permit me a follow-up?
Please.
You mentioned the sort of forward-looking part of this. What steps is this Congress taking, or does it need to take sooner rather than later, to strengthen America's defenses against another intrusion like this? I mean, you've got an election in Virginia on Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, and we had one in California last week. Here's the thing: when it was very obvious to many of us early on, I said at the convention at the opening breakfast with the Christian Science Monitor folks that it is an absolute fact that the Russians are hacking and leaking in our elections. It's an absolute fact. I don't know that. I wouldn't be able to say it publicly if I knew it through classified information, but I knew it because it cost me $1 million to find out at the DCCC who was hacking us. And and then later by October, all of the intelligence leaders were agreeing to a statement that Russia was doing this. Not Mr. Comey, but all the others. At that time, the four leaders, Leader McConnell, Leader Schumer, the Speaker of the House, highest of all, and I sent a letter to the secretaries of state throughout the country saying that we have resources available to help protect the mechanisms of election. Is not to interfere in the states run their elections, but to say that certain resources were available to them. The Republicans were resistant to saying that, that we considered the election process and mechanics of election as critical infrastructure. Later, the Secretary of Homeland Security made such a designation, but we did not say that in our letter. In fact, they insisted that we say that we're not saying that. But we did recognize that there was a problem and that there were resources available nationally for them to exploit, take advantage of, for the protection of our system.
Natalie?
Yes, sir.
I want to follow up here a little bit. So you talk about the possibility of him presenting his side of things, maybe to the special counsel. We've had presidents do
No,
that.
I don't know that he would do it. I mean, they just have to follow the facts and where they lead.
But we've had presidents do that before. President Clinton did that with the deposition in the Whitewater, Monica Lewinsky situation. You talked about the possibility, and the reality show, as you put it, of maybe him wanting to come here to Congress. But you also talked earlier about the importance of balance of powers.
Right.
You have that in a parliamentary
Right.
system. We don't have that here.
Right.
That would be extraordinary if you were to
Yeah, I
do
do. I think that's something that we have to weigh the equity of, because when President Clinton, that wasn't to Congress. that wasn't to Congress. So we have to understand that, well, we're in an extraordinary circumstance. Well, we've never been to a place like this. And what did the former Director of National Intelligence say in his speech the other day? That Watergate pales in comparison to what is happening now. Yes, sir.
Based on what came out of the hearing yesterday involving Attorney General Sessions, and based on some reports from the White House that maybe even the president lacks a degree of confidence in him, what is your level of confidence in Attorney General Sessions, and do you believe he should still be in that job?
On March 2nd, I said he should resign as Attorney General. On March 2nd, I said Attorney General Sessions should not be in that job and he should resign. So that's, 3 months ago, more than 3 months ago. So that's my position on him.
Do you feel even stronger after yesterday? Did that change, move the ball forward for you anymore in that respect?
Well, how much more can he do than resign? I don't know. I resigned twice. I don't think that he honored his recusal. And, how can I say, without confirming or denying what came out of that room, which was a closed session, have had for a long time the benefit of briefings. Yes, sir.
Leader Pelosi, the president has said that he feels completely, totally vindicated after Mr. Comey's testimony yesterday. What's your reaction to that? Do you see it that way?
No, I don't see it that way at all. But I do see that he might see it that way because, as I said earlier, facts, evidence, data, curiosity about the truth, discipline in his comments are not hallmarks of his presidency. What I did say this morning, in case you missed me on TV, is follow this. Now, this was early this morning, and in light of events that have come forth since. I said to him that New Yorkers have said to me, those who've had business dealings with him, he operates this way. First, he tries to charm you. President Bush tries to charm you. If that doesn't work, he tries to bully you. If that doesn't work, he walks away from the deal. And if that doesn't work, he sues you. So, charm, bully, abandon, sue. And I didn't realize it, but when I got back to my office, like an hour later, I saw that they're filing suit against Comey. So he tried to charm him, he tried to bully him, he tossed him out, and now he's going to sue him. Following suit. I mean, he's true to form, true to his name.